Our family recently had the opportunity to take a little vacation to a quiet little mountain town filled with such beauty, God's beauty, absolutely everywhere. Today's video, I want to share a little bit of that with you and also a sweet message that as we got home and I reflected back on this trip, a sweet message of something that God laid on my heart to share with you. And that's what today's video is all about. I'm going to share with you this story while sharing with you a few of our sweet, special moments from this vacation. Do you hear that? That sound of the raging river was the most incredible sound to be surrounded by. You guys, this place was incredible. It was beautiful. It was quiet. It was peaceful. It was filled with all of our family, extended family. It was beautiful. But this place you see me at right here is what inspired this video. This space right here is my favorite place that we explored through this 5-day vacation. Now, one of the things we did while we were on this vacation was go on a guided horseback ride tour through the mountains. And this is something we've done before. This was not our family's first time to this specific place. However, this horseback ride was unlike any of the horseback rides that I have done before in this exact location. It was very different. And while it was all happening and unfolding, I didn't really think a whole lot about it.
Cooper, don't you want to buy one?
My boys loved these pedal boats. This was so much fun. But back to the story. I didn't think about this experience on the horseback ride until I got home and was sitting in my bed and just spending some time alone with God. And I seriously had him, like, all of a sudden laid on my heart. I am the horse, me personally, Jamie. I am the horse, and he is the rider. Let me explain, guys. My family paid to go on this horseback riding adventure. This horse you see right here was crazy. Why they still had it in part of their lineup is beyond me. It doesn't look so crazy at the moment. That butt, my horse that I was riding, bit the butt of that horse in front of me multiple times, kicked the horse behind us, which my sister happened to be riding, all because he was used to being a leader. This horse, they told me, while I saddled up on this horse, said to watch his ears because he will pin his ears and then he will bite the butt of the horse in front of him. They also informed me that he likes to go his own way, that he likes to turn right. So if he wants to turn right, you just pull those reins and get him back to going straight, right? This is all the things, these are all the things they told me as I'm saddling up on this horse. And I looked at my mom and I'm like, should I get a different horse? I'm slightly nervous about this experience now, but I'm like, Jamie, it's fine. Cool, calm, collected. You've done this before. You know how this goes. They just follow each other, single file. They do this all day, every day. They know their job, right? Right. It all sounded good. Except there were multiple times that I was like, yeah, I'm wanting to get off this horse. I looked at my sister behind me and I'm like, I think I want to walk out of this trail, off of this trail. And I'm not easily scared or spooked by things like this. Like, I've ridden a horse before, probably can count on both hands. I mean, really, like, not that often. However, I'm not super spooked by the thought or the idea of riding this horse. There were about 12 of us in the lineup, and the horses kind of follow each other, but they also have moments where they want to do their own thing, like eat. They get spooked very easily by different things in the brush. Like, this was a very different experience than we had had before. And I'm just giving you a nutshell version of this story because I want to get to the heart of this message, which is not about that specific ride necessarily, but what God was laying on my heart about this ride. Okay, so I want to share it with you. I am the horse, Jamie. You are the rider, God. He is the rider. He is the one holding the reins, of my life. He is the one trying to steer and lead and guide me as I continue to be this horse who wants to go her own way. How many times do I find myself wanting to go my own way? This horse had two paths. One simple, clear path that was free of rocks that he would trip up on and that was less steep. I even tried the theory of, there's food everywhere. He's wanting to eat everything in sight. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you a little treat. You've been good to me. You've kept me on your back. You haven't bucked me off. So I'm just going to let you have a treat and we'll just carry on with our ride. That was not his plan. This horse wanted every beautiful green branch, leafy grass, whatever in front of it. And yes, we are to stop and rest and soak up what God has for us. However, not everything, just like with this horse, not everything that looks good and pleasing to our eyes or even our fleshly appetite is good or even meant for us. I'm practicing letting him lead, letting God lead. He has the reins. He's leading me. How many times during our ride, my horse would once again try and stake his dominance and his control. He'd want to lead. He'd want to go left, look left when I want him to go right. It was crazy. But as I sit reflecting on our trip, I couldn't help but find pieces of myself and my walk with the Lord this way. I like to control, to lead, too much sometimes, thinking that my path is going to be easier or that I know better, right? I know better. I know what's best for me. I want what the Lord has for me. And when I try to lead and I walk off that path that He's set out, when I start to wander, things change. Things get a bit more difficult. Now, these are horses, right, that I'm comparing to. But hear me out. I couldn't help but find spiritual significance in this ride. He wanted to lead. He'd get mad. He'd bite the one ahead of him and kick the one behind him. He was ornery. He was restless. He was antsy. He wanted to lead. He wanted to control. And I can't help but find such significance in my own personal life as well. Those same feelings come upon me when I try to lead, when I try to go my own way, when I try to do all these things in my own strength and strive over and over and over again. When we finally cease striving, when we finally let go and surrender, how things change. I think I know what's best for my family. I think I know what's best for me. But what I'm finding is the more that I try to control the situation or whatever we might be facing or my life in different seasons, the further I fall from God, the further away I grow. I'm trying to please my flesh and feed my flesh. And it doesn't work that way. The more I go my own way, the more restless I become, the more weary I become. And now God never promised us a life without mountains or valleys or heartache and sadness and pain, but that when we go through these things with Him, how different it will be. I try to do it on my own. I try to go my own way. I try in my own strength over and over and over again. But how different my life would be if I can stay fully surrendered to the Lord. Just like that horse, how different his our journey would have been had he just let me lead. But he thought he knew what was best. I'm sure it wasn't pain-free for him. I'm sure it wasn't frustration-free for him because he wanted to go his own way. But together, me and God, how different my story can be if I surrender, how different our homeschool can be, how different my marriage, my babies, our life, our journey, if I stay fully surrendered to the will of God and His desires for my life and my family.